You've heard the term a million times, right? Emerging markets. It's all over the news, signaling these huge opportunities, but also some pretty big risks. We're talking about places from Brazil to India to Vietnam. But what does that label really mean? Well, in this explainer, we're going to cut right through the jargon and give you a super clear way to think about these incredibly important economies. So let's get right to it. What is an emerging market exactly? Is it just about how much money a country makes or its location on a map? Honestly, it can feel a little fuzzy, so let's break it down and get to what this concept is really all about. First things first, let's define our terms. We're going to take this buzzword and turn it into a solid, concrete definition you can actually use. Okay, at its heart, an emerging market is just an economy that's on the move. It's in this powerful transition phase, moving from a developing status toward a more advanced one. And this whole journey is really defined by three key foundational traits. The first one, high growth potential. And we're talking about economies that are often expanding way, way faster than established players like the US or Japan. This kind of explosive growth is usually fueled by things like industrialization, people moving to cities, and a booming middle class that suddenly has real purchasing power. This, right here, is the engine that pulls in so much global investment. Number two, they have developing institutions. Now, when we say institutions, we're not talking about big, fancy buildings. We mean the fundamental rules of the game. You know, things like a legal system you can actually trust to enforce a contract, a modern banking sector that can handle money properly, and government regulations that are at least somewhat predictable. They're literally building the foundation for a stable, modern economy. And the third pillar is global integration. This is huge. These economies are opening their doors to the world. They're dropping trade barriers, they're welcoming foreign investments, and they're plugging their supply chains into the global network. They're becoming absolutely essential players on the world stage, not just taking part in the global economy, but actively starting to shape it. So, we've got our three-part definition: growth, institutions, integration. Simple enough, right? Well, here's where it gets really interesting. You absolutely cannot treat all emerging markets the same. This is not a one-size-fits-all category, which brings us to our second super important point. This is probably the most critical insight of all. You can't approach Brazil the same way you approach India or Poland. It just doesn't work. Each one has its own unique mix of culture, politics, resources, and, of course, risks. Thinking of them as just one big generic blob, that is a classic strategic mistake. And because they're all so different, it creates this constant balancing act. On one side of the scale, you have these massive opportunities, that incredible growth potential, and access to millions of new customers. But on the other side, you've got some serious challenges, like economic volatility, sudden political shifts, and a maze of regulatory hurdles. It is the absolute definition of a high-risk, high-reward environment. Okay, so what do we do with all this? This is the most important part. Understanding the definition and all the nuance isn't just an academic exercise. It's about giving yourself a real, tangible, strategic advantage. It really all boils down to this. Understanding these characteristics is absolutely essential for strategic planning. You just can't make good decisions if you don't truly understand the landscape. This knowledge is the bedrock for making smart moves, whether you're an investor, a business leader, or really just anyone trying to make sense of the global economy. So here's the crucial takeaway. A simple three-step process you can use. First, you define the market using our three pillars. Is it growing? Are its institutions solid? Is it integrated? Second, you analyze its specific, unique blend of opportunities and risks. And finally, you build your strategy based on that clear-eyed analysis. It's a really powerful framework. All right, let's lock in the top three takeaways from all this. First, emerging markets are defined by that powerful trio: high growth, developing institutions, and global trade. Second, and this is so important, every single one of these markets is a unique blend of amazing opportunity and serious challenge. And third, getting a handle on these characteristics isn't just interesting, it is absolutely essential for any kind of strategic planning. Look, in a world that's changing as fast as ours is, understanding what makes these economies tick, it isn't just smart, it's essential. And that leaves us with one final big question. As these markets keep growing and integrating into the world, who is ultimately going to shape their future?